Let's talk about the safety. I like the safety. There are some manufacturers that made their 22s with some kind of a rubber safety. I don't like it. I like all metal. I can also tell you too that the two safeties are being connected by a steel pin, which is also great. It's also a decocker too as well. So you see the hammer, it's cocked, and as you put it on safe, it decocks the hammer. So let's talk about the hammer block, which is this piece right here. As you can see, when I put the decocker on, that piece stops the hammer from going all the way forward. Whereas if you had pulled the trigger, you can see it right there drop down as I pull the trigger. And then the hammer goes forward and hits the firing pin. So the hammer drop block, if the hammer is in its fully cocked position, ever fell, something hit it, or the firearm was dropped and it dropped on its hammer and it fell forward without the trigger being pulled, it will stop that hammer from hitting the firing pin. I also like the design, the way they designed it too. It's very robust. It's nice thick metal on both sides. So I don't see in the future of it breaking. So between the two safeties, the firing pin block and safety, and this one, it makes this firearm a pretty safe firearm. But I'm not saying that you should ignore the NRA rules. You should always be following them no matter what. But again, I like it. Now I want to talk about the hammer block pin. The hammer block pin is small on both ends, but the body is very thick. And that allows you to absorb that shock when that hammer comes down. But because it's small on either side instead of thick all the way through, it's possible that it could break right there. Now I'm not saying that it will or eventually will, because even with this firearm, I got it. It has to be either close or over 10,000 rounds, and then who knows how many hundreds of times I've put this safety on, or my students or friends shooting with me, and it has not broke yet. So I'm not saying that it will. I'm just saying that if it could, that's where it would break. This is your ejector right here. That's typical design. You know, nothing wrong with it. Now this is your takedown lever right here. I like how nice and thick this takedown lever is, because not only is it a lever that you got to push down, and that allows you to disassemble the slide from the frame, but this piece right here, there it goes, right there, stops the frame when it goes rearward. So it has to be nice and thick and stout. So I like that. That's its plunger and spring right there. It's a little tough, but then again, it needs to be. You don't want it coming undone when you're firing it. So I do like that. So I do like how strong that spring is, and I do like the fact that that's, let's see if I can get a better picture. There it is. Right there. Oh. There. Right there. I want to go back to the manual safety real fast. Watch right here when I go to turn it on. See how it drops down? That's how this safety works. It pushes the trigger bar out of the way so that way it no longer fires. It won't catch on the sear. And when you turn it off, it raises back up. So that's how this safety works. It's a lot of safeties work this way. Nothing wrong with it. I just prefer a safety that captures or blocks the sear from moving. But again, nothing wrong with a safety like this. Now let's talk about the recoil guide and spring. Recoil guide is plastic. I guess a lot of manufacturers, that's what they're doing now. Just making plastic recoil guides. I personally don't like it. I like stainless steel. But nothing wrong with it. I got probably a few thousand rounds through it before I decided to go with an aftermarket stainless steel captive one. I've seen torture tests where they have fired many rounds in rapid session, and the first thing that did go before the frame melted was the recoil guides. And they ended up having to replace it so that way they can keep going. So, and that's kind of extreme. Obviously, if you firing that much with your pistol, then you need a different tool like a saw or something. So as far as out of the box, this is just fine. But personally, I just like steel. Now the springs design, so when you put this back together, you gotta be careful. The thicker end goes up against the slide. The small end goes in onto the recoil rod. So don't get it mixed up like that. Okay? All right. That should include this video. Oh, I know I forgot one more thing. Aftermarket parts. So this is where I found the magazine extensions. You see the difference. I wanted more, because even these are just fine, but my pinky just is off the edge, so I wanted something a little bit more. Let's see. Oh, this is the recoil guide and spring, and this barrel is from Twin Tech. That's where I got that, and I got the threaded, so that way I can put the compensator, muzzle brake, whatever you want to call it, on there. I'm sure you can go to Google, Google SR22 aftermarket parts, and I'm sure you can find all these companies. Oh no, I think it's a great gun. I like the design. There were some, minor things here and there that I pointed out earlier, but for the most part, I think it's a great gun. All the springs and other parts inside that I have not shown you, have not seen any excessive wear or anything. So the firearm was made very well. So kudos to Ruger for that. So if you're looking for a 22 pistol, I highly recommend this one. Thank you for watching my video. Please like, share, subscribe, or make a comment below. And always remember, safety first, then have fun.